Hi, welcome to our Emmys Contenders series. I'm Mary McNamara, television critic at the Los Angeles Times, and joining me today is Kit Harington, which is so exciting because Game of Thrones is the best show ever. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm on a bit of a whirlwind with Thrones at the moment.
Yeah, you were just in San Francisco for the premiere, yeah?
Yeah, it's all gearing up for season 5, so they're shipping us out everywhere. And yeah, I'm enjoying it.
How was it? How was the premiere? Screaming fans, people throwing themselves at your feet?
You know, I found San Francisco quite sort of chilled. It was
really?
sort of, you know, the
just like whatever.
It was a more chilled environment than maybe LA. It was kind of, there was a kind of back footness about it, but still an excitement. But the places they put us in, the Opera House, amazing place to premiere something.
And was that the first time you saw it? Had you seen the pilot episode?
I had in London.
You did?
So I'd seen it once.
Okay, so there was another one.
And I broke my golden rule of never watching anything twice. So I saw the first episode twice now.
So you've never watched any episode twice?
No.
Not even the second to the last episode of the 4th season,
no.
where you owned the entire show.
I wanted this kind of, you'd say, I wanted to see that on the IMAX because I heard it went really well. It works really well on the big screen. But I didn't get to, and I always watch it once because I find if you watch it more than once, you start picking apart your performance and everyone else's performance and the whole thing, and then you lose that initial reaction to it, which you had, which I found when I watched the first one again in San Fran.
So let me ask you, when you were saying, you know, that they're bringing you all together, how often do you get together with the cast? I mean, because this is like one of those shows where you have not had scenes ever with many of the major players in the cast, which is very unique of a show.
There were people I'd never met before. I seriously. Like,
Amelia Clark, how do you do?
I've never met Amelia. She's apparently lovely. No, I have, obviously. Ian Glenn, who acts alongside Amelia as Jorah Mormont.
Right.
I hadn't met him until maybe the 4th season.
Wow.
And he's been in it from the start. So it has that expansive nature to it. And I think I only get to really see Amelia or Peter or Nikolai, these sort of events. But you're very kind of tightly bound with your little story. So I spend a lot of time with my Night's Watch people. And
yeah, it's almost like you're doing your own little show, especially you, because you kind of like went to the wall in season 1, and you've never been to King's Landing. You've never like mixed it up with the Lannisters. It's like you've been off doing your own thing.
And for some reason, Jon Snow seems to want to stay there, which I don't really fully understand why.
Well, that
he wanted to go there.
We have many questions from many places, and one of the people was like, "Will Jon Snow ever get off the wall? Is that something that's going to happen?"
I don't know.
In season 5, no?
I don't know.
Are you done shooting? Are we?
The way I look at that is that he, you know, the one time he could have left the wall, the one time he might have left the wall, there were a couple. He could have gone down to sort of try and avenge his family, and he didn't. And he could have left with Ygritte, and he didn't. So it's going to be pretty hard to tear him away from the Night's Watch now. He's grown there, and that's his place. So I think it's going to have to be some sizable event to drag him south.
Well, it seemed really interesting at the end where the character was left, because there you are, and a Baratheon is back. You've got Stannis, who's kind of like, because Jon Snow sort of inherited the leadership of the Watch.
Yeah.
But now you have the king, who you are sort of recognizing as the king. Does Jon Snow really recognize Stannis, as the king, or was that more like kind of, I don't want to get my head chopped off yet?
I think it was a half play and a half recognition. I think he knows that his father recognized Stannis as the rightful king. I also think that he knows that he needs Stannis at that point in the story. I also think that he doesn't really care who sits on the Iron Throne. That's the whole vibe of the Night's Watch. They're the only democracy in the entire kingdoms, actually. And I think that's really part of who he is now. He couldn't care less who's on the Iron Throne, as long as they're willing to support him and the Night's Watch when the real war begins, which is slowly coming our way.
Right. Has winter come yet, Jon Snow?
I think it comes this season.
It comes this season?
Yeah.
Really? It's
a phrase, you know. It's more of a metaphor, really, in a lot of ways, and you'll see winter arrive quite strongly this season.
Is it a tonal winter, or is it an actual snowing winter, or is it like all of the White Walkers are finally going to rise up out of the snow and freak everybody out?
It's a lot of those things,
All of
and
those
I can't
things?
tell you specifically what, but it's very. I think the winter is coming line is a kind of metaphor. Is a tonal thing. Everyone is. If you watch the first episode, everyone is in the darkest place they've ever been. The lowest point.
This is the first episode of the new season. Yes, I hear it's very dark. I hear
it only gets darker.
Excellent, excellent. So you know, it's mood relievers all around.
Yeah,
for everybody. So there's Jon Snow, and he is like kind of looking at. Oh, you know what I was going to say is like it's really nice to have Ned in your back pocket, because Ned is like he's like the good guy. He's the only true, unspoiled character in the show, mainly because he died before anything really. But Jon Snow is also that kind of character. So when you're talking about he doesn't care who's on the Iron Throne, there's a part of me that thinks, you know, there are 3 characters that I see inheriting the Iron Throne, and like Jon Snow is one of them. Do you ever think that you will end up with the Iron Throne?
No.
No.
No, I don't.
Do you know that for sure?
I don't know that for sure.
Are you spoiling something for us?
I'm not spoiling anything. My theory is that Jon is probably right to sit on the Iron Throne because he wouldn't ever accept it.
Wow, that's the reluctant leader.
I think no one should be on that Iron Throne. I think at the end there should be
a prime minister and an elected body. Yeah.
Chuck away the throne. It's caused nothing but harm. I don't think anyone should be on it, and I think anyone who seeks to be on it shouldn't be there in the first place.
It's in an ugly piece of furniture. It's like, where are you going to put it? So let me ask you, when you were talking about I don't know, which of course everybody always asks, have you read the books? Did you read the books before you started?
Read 4.
You read 4
out of the 5.
And now I'm hearing that that this season really diverges from the books in a way that the previous season has not. Is that true?
They're separate things now.
Yeah.
The show, the best way of looking at it is the show is based on the books. And a lot of people come up to me at the moment and say, oh, I know what happens in season 5 because I've read the 5th book, of which they really don't, because there's so many big changes. There's so many different ways they're taking it. A lot of the same, the core of book 5 is in season 5, but there's a lot of surprises along the way. So I wouldn't get too sort of righteous about the books if you think you know them compared to the show.
I didn't read the books. And
no.
As a critic, I decided not to read the books because I just wanted to see the show.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, what do you know and when do you know it in terms of your character? When do you get like an overview at the beginning of the season? Do they say, okay, here's the journey we're going on, Jon Snow? Or do they just hand you pages and you're like, oh my God?
The funny thing is that everyone involved in Thrones knows what happens to characters before the actors do. So you turn up for your horse riding assessment and Camilla, who's the horse mistress, is giving you knowing looks and winks and suggestions, and she's had all the scripts and we never get them. We get them like, you know, a few weeks before we start, and every other department has them and is not allowed to tell you what happens. Oh my gosh,
that's hilarious.
So they all know and you don't know, and it's infuriating. I think.
And has anyone ever broken? Has any, like, you know, little person like let it slip and then be dragged off into the dark?
Yeah, we never see them again. It's HBO snipers everywhere. I don't know. No. I don't know. This season, you know, that we're doing, that we've just done, was really fascinating because it drifted from the books and it was about the books, but there were so many different elements about it that were new, that everyone was so keen. And this year we had to sign off for the things. We had to hand back our sides at the end of the day. It all got very Star Wars.
Do you shoot chronologically? So are you getting it as your character progresses, or do you sometimes get pages and it's like, oh, I don't even know what happened because we're going to do that back in the studio?
The one thing they do is, once the scripts are finalized, very little changes. But as far as shooting it chronologically, no. Like I remember, I think it was season 3 where I literally shot it scene for scene backwards. I did my last scene first, and then each scene followed backwards, which is a really weird way of shooting.
Yeah. Because
everything you've just done is informing the scene beforehand, and that really kind of screwed in my head. But no, nothing is chronological because of people's dates, because of locations. It's a very kind of scatty process as far as so you have to be very, very strict about noting down when scenes happen and what's happened before and how you want to play that because of something you've not done yet.
What's the most surprising thing that you've gotten, where you've gotten a page and gone, oh my God, or I can't believe she's dead, or whatever.
Do you know what? Because I read the books.
Oh, so you knew.
Nothing much has surprised me yet.
Did anything surprise you this season?
I know that Sean Bean didn't realise he died.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously?
He got the script and went, I die. What? Yeah, so I think it was a lesson to us all to read the scripts to make sure that you still live.
I actually, because I hadn't read the books, when that scene came up, I kept waiting for like whatever thundering cavalry was going to come and stop the sword from swinging.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I wonder if Sean Bean was sitting there going, where is the thundering cavalry that's going to stop the sword from swinging?
On the day.
Yeah, exactly. What?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't think we kind of don't look too far ahead with it.
And has anybody ever had, like, that you've been working with, had to work back from their death scene? Like, I imagine that would be horrifying. It's like, okay, well, we're going to film your death scene now, but we still have to do 6 other takes over here.
I think people have, and it is a bit annoying because you ideally, if you die in Thrones, you want it to be your last scene you ever film. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't always work like that. People usually go out on a shot of your hand drawing unless something really dull.
And I mean, obviously, the show has gotten a reputation for killing as many people as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Is there a ritual when a character leaves? Do you guys?
No, there really isn't. We're really bad at it.
Yeah.
Because I know they've got rituals in other shows. Is it Walking Dead? They've got rituals in or something. They have death parties. We just sort of wave people goodbye. Like, it's brutal in our show.
And then their face just goes up on the dead GOT
gets
wiki
taken
page.
down
I mean,
from
it's
the wall,
really scary.
Put in the bin. And we never speak to them again.
And we never speak to them again.
I don't know who Richard Madden is anymore.
Do you keep in touch with? Well, you had scenes with him, yeah.
Yeah, me and Richard are very good friends. No, I've kept close with a lot of the old cast and a lot of the current cast, and you have such a shared experience, such an amazing experience with a show like this that I think we're all going to know each other for life. I think I really do believe that.
Well, you will all be identified as one big family, which is why it's funny that you don't actually work together. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like you're, mixing
we do cross paths in Belfast and other places.
Yeah.
Like we do. It's always quite fun learning what other people's days have been like, and I might see some of the other cast in the bar and we chat, and yeah, we are close. We're friends off screen if we don't share it on.
So I need to ask some of these questions, or
Sure.
people are going to get super mad at me. What from Amber Larks on Facebook? What's the most epic filming location or place you got to travel for the show?
It's got to be.
question,
It's
Amber.
got to be Iceland.
Iceland.
It was Iceland.
That's where last season. Are you
It
still
was
there?
season 2 and 3, and I remember just getting there and just thinking how remarkable a place it is. And we didn't go. I didn't go back for 4, and I wasn't back there for 5. And
So did you shot that in a studio that was in Belfast?
Yeah,
or?
we did bits in the studio. They've got some big shots that they've already shot in Iceland. There was not enough for us to go back there. Mm-hmm. But Iceland is, I've said it many times, but it lends itself so brilliantly to filming. It's so beautiful and so well photographed. Go there. Go to Iceland if you've never been.
Well, I'll expect to see a wall, though, and it's not there, and that will be a shame. I do feel like with Jon, he's often cold and wet. I feel like that has been your leitmotif throughout.
Yeah.
Are you actually, as an actor, cold and wet most of the time while you're filming?
While I'm filming, not just in general life.
You look perfectly dry and comfortable right now. Although you are wearing black. It's like, where is the big
I know.
robe? Where is that big furry robe?
Do you know what? I sort of adopt dark colors now anyway.
You're a crow.
Yeah, I think I'm taking it on board in real life. I just think Jon's not got the easiest time of it, has he? He's in the cold and wet.
He's
and that's why he's so sulky.
He's
pretty simple.
You're getting more noble. He's getting more noble.
He's getting harder.
Yeah.
He's getting less self-pity and more.
That's
something that I do believe with him, is that he started off as quite a kind of self-pitying character. Woe is me, and isn't my life hard? And actually, as it's going on, and what's really interesting about this season for me, is that there's a kind of there's a sort of inner steel that comes over him, and he gets more cynical and he gets harder, and he starts putting all that self-pity away.
He's a leader.
Oh, yeah, he's growing into a man.
Okay. Cassia on Twitter asks, will we get some hints about who Jon Snow's mother is this season?
I can't tell you, Cassia.
Oh my goodness.
I can't. I mean, she may turn up this season. You never know.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be exquisite. But you can't tell us.
I
nothing.
can't. And I don't, you know, I don't know generally.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. I don't believe him. Jessica on Twitter asks, if you could bring back one character from the dead, which would it be?
Character?
Yeah.
In my story or in
anyone's
story?
Just don't say Joffrey.
Yeah, I'd bring back Joffrey.
It was nice to hate him.
Yeah, I'd bring back Rich. I'd bring back Robb Stark. I'd love to. I was always sad that Jon and Robb could never kind of go into battle together. I think that would have looked really cool.
That would have looked really cool.
It was one of those sad things that you thought that might happen at some point, and then Game of Thrones breaks your heart in that way.
But doesn't that, I mean, there was the competition, though, between Robb and Jon. It seems like.
There was, but I think Jon would have followed Robb to the end of the earth. I think he would have, even though he had his own ambition.
Naughty Greek, huh? You didn't bring her back.
Nah, she just got annoying.
God. Oh, my God. She just got annoying. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Okay, Violet Baptiste wants to know, what is your favorite moment so far from being on the show?
I like your name, Violet Baptiste.
That is a good name.
What's my favorite moment in the whole show?
In the whole show. Your favorite moment.
Ooh.
I think she means that you were in.
That I was in?
Yeah. Then we can do the other one.
It's got to be so far. Well, my favorite moments are all in this season. That's no word of a lie. I really love this season. There's some incredible bits. But my favorite moments from, I think there was some of the stuff wandering through some of the stuff from season 2 wandering through the icy lands with Ygritte.
Right.
Was settings wise was so beautiful. I love those scenes. I love the delicacy of those scenes. I love the way they were written. I have real fond memories of season 2 and the work we produced from that season.
How is it to work with Ciaran Hinds? I love him.
He's amazing. He's a gentle, very precise, measured human being, and I've loved working with him, and he's one of those actors that I grew up watching on stage and screen, and I just, you know, I hold in such high esteem.
He can do anything. It's pretty amazing.
He can do anything, and he's never like intentionally so, but he's a wonderful scene stealer because he's so charismatic. You just want to watch him, and it's frustrating almost being opposite him because you're like, I don't know what you're doing, I don't know how you're doing it, but it's very.
And you're taking over my scene.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it can be like that.
From Mrs. Fully Laced on Twitter.
Well, we're going there.
I know, right? Are there any actors, past or present, on Game of Thrones that you would like to work with or wish you had worked with? Any of your castmates who you wish you had more time with, or any time? That
are dead?
No, I think just in general, or dead. Anybody.
I'd love to spend more time with Peter.
Yeah.
I loved the scenes that we had in season 1 together, and I think actually Jon and Tyrion were developing something that could have been really interesting, and you know, who knows, hopefully they will see each other this season. I can't tell you.
Well, it does seem like the outcast characters are the noble characters. I mean, it's like Jon Snow, Tyrion, and the Khaleesi. You know, it's like Daenerys is out there, and it's the ones who were like the weaker sibling, it seemed like at the beginning, are now the stronger siblings.
Never thought about it that way. That's really interesting. Yeah.
I should write a paper.
That is true.
I should get a master's degree in Game of Thrones. I'm sure somewhere someone is doing that. I wonder whether
George Martin had some kind of a dominant brother that he presented.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all Freudian. It's all Freudian. Okay, let's see. I asked that. Okay, I have asked. Okay, a departure from Game of Thrones from Janine on Twitter. What was it like working with Andy Samberg in 7 Days in Hell?
Fantastic. I really loved that piece. It made me, you know, when something's good, when you read a script and it's making you like crack up laughing just reading it. And he sent that to me and said, "Would you consider doing this?" And I called him and said, "Yeah, I'd love to. I'd really love to." And apparently it aired at South by Southwest and it's looking good. I don't know when it's going to come out, but it's I don't know. I'm kind of nervous about it. I hope what I did was funny, but it felt very funny at the time what we were doing. It's a great piece. It's completely stupid and farcical, and I play a very, very stupid, incredibly thick English guy, which I'm very suited to.
Do you worry that you'll get typecast with the Game of Thrones? You know, I mean, because it is, I mean, the cast is so imprinted on everyone's imagination that people think you are Jon Snow.
There is that worry. There is that idea, will I ever break away from this character? But I know when I wanted to get into acting, I wanted to just work. I wanted to work as an actor, to act, you know, is an honor in itself. And this enables me to do that. And this may be a defining role for me, and you know, but it's going to allow me to do lots of other things, and I don't worry about that typecasting issue. I always think other people worry about it too much for me. I'm like, I don't see it as a problem.
Do people recognize you now? I mean, do they, like, are you a rock star when you walk down the street?
I would never describe myself as a rock star. I've got a theory that all actors want to be rock stars and all rock stars want to be actors. It's kind of weird. They kind of,
like, actors want to be directors, and everybody wants to be something else.
Yeah.
Except for TV critics, we're really happy doing what we're doing because we get to do this. So actually, Ego on Twitter wants to know if you would like
Ego?
Bego, not Ego, or Bego, I don't know. Would you like to direct or write a script?
I'm very interested in the future in producing. I'd like to produce. I never knew what a producer was until I got into this business. And now I have a great respect for them, and I don't know. There's lots I want to do in the future. At the moment, I'm an actor, and that's what I'm doing. But I do want to write, and I do want to produce, and I do want to create things. I want to create my own work. You see, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I do harbour ego. I do harbour ambitions of all those things.
Is it hard getting back into, you know, when the season starts again, because it is such a specific world, Game of Thrones? I mean, how do you prepare for picking up where you left off? Do you go back? Well, you say you don't watch it 2 times, so you don't go back and watch, you know, the last thing that you did as Jon Snow to see where you were?
No, no, I don't. You've got a template of a character there that you've built that you can go back to, and you can fit, and it's always nice almost putting him back on, like going, oh, here he is.
And does the costume help? I mean, I know a lot of actors say that when they put the clothes on that helps.
But I like looking at the minute changes. So I always feel with something like this that there's a template there, but what you look at the new scripts and you go, so what is the major change from this year? What does he become, and what's he driving towards? And what's his aim? What's his end? What's his goal with any of these scenes? And I like doing that because he changes a little bit each season. And I think, you know, and I've always felt he's a slow burn. I've always felt that there's something building in him. I've always wanted to look at that internally. So I sort of enjoy trying to pick apart what David and Dan, it's like a puzzle, what David and Dan are trying to tell me through the script of where I should take him.
So is this the season he becomes a man? I saw that you killed the child to...
This is the season he becomes a politician.
Politician.
Yeah.
Oh.
He has to start thinking up here and less in here. And
he will not become a corrupt politician, though.
He has to learn to be a strict politician. He has to learn to be brutal. He has to learn to make huge sacrifices and give away some of his inherent goodness to get to where he wants to be. And I think that's something his father wasn't prepared to do.
No, and he died for it.
And he died for it. And I think Jon's slowly learning that.
But it's really nice, the relationship that he has with Sam, because Sam is like, and Sam is growing too into being a man. And so it's like he kind of keeps him human.
Yeah, me and Jon Bradley have a theory about this, though. We think Sam has his own agenda. It's wrong to think of Sam as only being there for Jon and supporting him. Sam now has a very clear agenda, which is to do with Gilly, which is to do with his son, or his adopted son.
Right.
And I think those two, actually,
that's interesting.
You'd have to ask Jon Bradley about this, but I think he holds them in more import than Jon. And I think Jon always holds the Night's Watch and his core values of more import than Sam.
Well, yeah, you sort of saw that a little bit towards the end.
There's conflict between them this season again.
Like what loyalty is and who you're supposed to be loyal to. I mean, that's a question that comes up over and over again.
Yeah, I don't think their relationship is the kind of harmonious thing that everyone thinks it is. I think
it started off as like Jon being his protectorate and him being like kind of this goofy guy, and now he is more
huge amounts of bro love.
Yeah,
but it's sort of now like the cracks are definitely there. And I think me and Jon wanted to play it as subtly as possible, and you got to look for them.
And do you get a new ally? Do you have a new, or are you a loner all the way through?
I think
Jon, of course, not being
the cliche to attach to Jon's story this year is it's very lonely at the top.
Oh, the top of the wall.
Poor old Jon, he's always lonely.
Okay, do I have time to ask a few more questions? I do. Okay, yay. If Jon had a dragon, what would he name it?
Craig.
Okay, please choose Stannis or Davos. All the best. Oh, that's not part of the question.
It's like a request.
I know. It's just like please choose. It's just coming up to me. I'm just reading it.
Please choose. Please choose.
Do you? I mean, are you going to stay with? I mean, is Stannis going to be your guy, or are you?
I think there's something to watch this season. Is the relationship between the more obvious one to watch is between Jon and Stannis.
And what about
the more interesting one is between Davos and Jon.
So Davos and Jon.
They have a really interesting.
And Melisandre. I mean, Jon and Melisandre had that through the flames glance towards the end. And like she is no good. So
one redhead's being burned, and another one's turned up.
Exactly. It's like
give me a break.
I just want a blonde.
Yeah.
Can I get a blonde around here? So funny. Samuel Lucas wants to know, how physically demanding is your role on the show? And how has it differed from other roles? You do your own stunts. Do you do your own stunts?
Yeah, I do.
And the sword fighting, did you learn, you looked really good in the big battle scene.
Yeah.
Who are you training with? Do you train?
We've got a great stunt team, and it all depends who you're fighting. Like if you're fighting a stunt man, it's made incredibly easy for you and it can flow. If you're fighting another actor, then neither of you are stuntmen, so it can be a bit trickier.
Because you don't want to mess anybody up.
No. But it becomes more natural to you, and I think as Jon learns, I learn.
Have you ever gotten hurt? Have you got? Like,
yeah, you get knocks and bruises, nothing major. I've never. You have to have physio.
Broken your nose or anything?
No, not the nose, darling.
Watch the face. Watch the face.
Watch the face. Knocks and bruises. I've done far worse things to myself in my own time. But Thrones is. I like doing. I can't stand watching Thrones and knowing it's a stuntman that's doing my bit. So anytime, I want to do the stunt. Every now and again, it has to be a stunt man, but usually it's me. Very usually it's me.
I remember reading your naked butt was a stunt man.
Yeah.
So that.
Gagging to get my butt out on TV. It was a stunt man's butt.
Why was it a stunt man's butt?
Because I had a broken ankle and I couldn't jump into the hot tub.
They couldn't rewrite it and just have you slide in. It had to be a jump, huh?
No, it had to be a jump.
So what has been the hardest thing? I mean, had you done sword fighting for roles before? Had you done horseback riding? Have you
I hadn't done any horse riding. I've since got quite good at that. And the fight stuff I realized I liked at drama school, but I didn't, you only think you're going to do a bit of Romeo and Juliet, Tybalt and Romeo fighting. That's all you're ever gonna.
Rapiers.
Yeah, rapiers
and daggers. Broadswords and ginormous axes.
Yeah, I never thought I'd get a broadsword, and yet here I am.
Right.
5 years down the line.
Are they heavy?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, we have three different types.
Or are they fake?
You've got aluminium ones which are lighter. Then you've got the real one is too heavy to wield around. You wouldn't. If you connected too hard, it would go through someone's sword and take off their head. So you don't want to use that one. It's too sharp. Yeah.
You got to be careful with this. Michaela on Twitter says you are a voracious reader, which she apparently knows. And what novel would you like to star in an adaptation of?
Good question. They've done the novel that I wanted to star in, which was annoying.
You wanted to be Mr. Darcy, right?
No, I wanted to be in Any Human Heart by William Boyd. I loved that book. And I wanted to be one of his younger self, or his middle self in that. Winston Smith in 1984, but I think they're reshooting that. I missed that boat. tell you what, Wizard of Earthsea is a fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
They've got
good.
to do that. I shouldn't have even said that. I want to make that. Yeah.
You can produce that.
Yeah. Getting loads of ideas going on there.
Well, I think that's all the time we have.
Great.
Don't look so relieved. This has been fun. Thank you so much for coming, and I can't wait. I can't wait.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for joining us, and please tweet us at LA Times Ent, and stay tuned for more of these fabulous chats.